we had recently, a few months before we arrived in London, played a gig with Led Zeppelin.
Right.
We were a support band on their show when they played the annual Arts Ball in Exeter.
What was that like?
The gig itself was unbelievable. I mean, we opened the show, but there was a band on, what are they called? The Social Deviants. They were kind of like the Ramones in 1968 or 9, you know. They were way before their time, really. Scruffy bunch, black leather and all that. So somebody on the gig didn't like them and lobbed a pint beer mug at the stage, which didn't break. Mick Farron, the singer, picked it up and threw it back into the audience, where it hit the floor and then gashed a guy's leg right down by his ankle. It gashed it open. He had to be rushed to hospital and have it stitched up. This is a guy that we knew. I mean, he was a singer in a band himself.
Right.
Well, I was actually in the dressing room at the time. We were in there with Led Zepp, and all of a sudden, the Deviants burst through the door of the dressing room door and ran into the dressing room, followed by the audience. People just started piling in there. And eventually the bouncers arrived and kicked everyone out and restored order. But they did actually go out again and got in another fight, you know, with some people from the audience. It was absolute craziness. We, when we went on stage, already, we had a friend of ours, and he was a lighting man. Great looking guy, very fit, Italianish, black curly hair. I mean, beautiful looking dude. And I think because he realised it was a big gig, Led Zeppelin, there was a real buzz about them. You know, their first album wasn't even released yet. He said, I would really like to do something on that gig, you know, in one of your songs. You know, like where you're freaking out and everything gets intense. I want to bring Ruth, who was the girl that danced with Principal Edwards. I want to bring Ruth on in a bikini, and I want to paint her. Right, paint her? What do you mean? Well, you know, with a paintbrush, I'm just going to paint her as she dances in front of the audience. Right. Okay, yeah, sounds good, you know. So that's what we did on the night with this last tune that was, you know, pretty intense. He brings Ruth on and she's dancing away, and he starts painting her with this paintbrush and a bucket of paint. Anyway, once he'd done a good bit of painting, he decides to pick up the can of paint, which was big, and tip it over the top of her head. She was absolutely covered from head to foot in paint, and it went everywhere. It was all over the stage, made a right bloody mess. When Led Zepp came on, Robert Plant, I think he was in quite high-heeled boots, and he was skidding all over the place. He was not amused with us. I mean, Led Zeppelin were mind-bogglingly good. I mean, they were just, you could see that you were watching a great band, you know what I mean? The sound was incredible. They were just like riveting to watch. But by the end of the evening, you know, we got out of the back door thinking, wow, you know, all that crap went on and we managed to escape unscathed until we saw our van, which was parked at the back of the gig, but now it was parked with a 4x12, and they had managed to wedge it under the back axle somehow. So you couldn't drive the van anywhere. It was like one of those, what was the worst gig you ever played, in some respects, but in other respects, it was like the best gig you ever played.